What is up, everyone? Welcome to another weekly news video. A couple of things to talk through today. Some pretty interesting things with, Michael Rubin and some potential updates to autos in cards. It's breaking news. I'll get to that a little bit later on. Quickly give my thoughts on Monopoly Prizm and then talk through something interesting with regard to Dappz Sports. So let's, jump straight into it. The first thing I want to touch on is Monopoly Prizm, as I just alluded to. Essentially, I want to give my thoughts on this because lots of people have, differing opinions, and they've asked me, Daniel, what do you think about Monopoly Prizm? Is it good? Is it bad? I'm pretty indifferent on the whole situation. I'm all for innovation in the hobby, and I've spoken about this many times on the channel in the past. I like when companies try and do something a little bit differently because that's, a unique way to try and create, more buzz, within the hobby, which is a good thing, right? You sort of want new and innovative things popping up here and there. What I haven't liked is something that I've spoken to a lot on this channel in the last couple of years, and that is, the number of parallels, right? And given that this set is made to be played as a board game, the fact you've got these booster boxes that are attached to it and things like that, and you've got now people buying these to flip and buying these to try and invest and get graded and all this sorts of thing, I feel like it's just unnecessarily created, more parallels that we don't really need. Again, I'm not going to begrudge Panini for, trying to do something different. I'm just, a little bit cautious again, how we've got more parallels out of something that we don't necessarily expect to have popped up, right? And I've got a video coming out later next week talking through pop reports and talking through numbers of parallels that I think will be a little bit eye-opening for some people. So I want to talk to that then, but some of this, concern around number of parallels as a result of Monopoly Prizm is going to feed into that, right? It's feed into that cause for concern around long-term, hope in the hobby. And maybe hope is the wrong word, but long-term viability for you, investing in a certain parallel, thinking it's, quite rare, when in reality, things are printed to death over a number of years. So how rare is that card that you're actually holding? So that's going to be a talking point for later in the week, but that's essentially what I wanted to comment on with regards to Monopoly Prizm. I think it's cool. Doing something different is cool. I'm just not sure if it needed to be done the way that it was. I'm curious to see what's going to happen, with some other board games. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something other than Monopoly, in the near future. Now, very quickly, I also want to talk to Dappz Sports. A few people messaged me, and a few people I was talking to in some group chats talked about how basically he's deleted all the interactions with the Great Curator off his Instagram. Now, I did a quick look. I spent about a couple of minutes. I couldn't find anything, so it does look like it's true. He still does have interactions with the Great Curator on YouTube, but if you're not sure, where this might be coming from, if you recall, a number of weeks ago, I talked about, a fake pack battle that Dappz Sports did with the Great Curator, Mojo Sports, and Prizm God, and how basically off the back of the card that the Great Curator put down, he got some pushback, and then because of that pushback, he wanted to deflect, and he put it onto Dappz, basically saying, you know what, who cares, that whole pack battle was fake. I spoke at the time that this was very much a poor thing to do to Dappz, and you've basically thrown, a friend under the bus, and you might not see them collaborate moving forward. Given that there are some posts that have been deleted, and again, I've done as much research as I can in the few minutes that I looked. I couldn't see anything. I trust these people. So if you do find something, let me know. But given that some posts have been deleted, is that an indication that might be true based on what I said a few months earlier? These guys no longer collaborating because Dappz is maybe, a little bit annoyed. Who knows? But I just thought that was pretty interesting, to talk to. The last thing is actually pretty breaking news. So Denny Cards on Instagram talked about how he's very unhappy with some players taking, a pretty piss poor approach to, signing autographs. And he gave some examples here. I can't recall who this players are. I'll get to that in a second. I'll quickly jump. Yeah, so Kaminga and Keon Johnson basically saying they're not doing a whole lot of effort, given that orders are meant to be cool. How do we stop, players sort of taking the piss with this, in the future? And he basically put the question to Michael Rubin saying, is this something that Fanatics is going to try and rectify moving forward? And with no, I shouldn't say with no surprise, but basically Michael Rubin has come out and replied to Denny Cards in the DMs and said, you know what, we're going to make sure that the orders are high quality moving forward. They don't have the NBA licenses yet, so they can't really do that, but it's something they're essentially looking into, which I think, is a pretty cool thing. And I think for the people out there that are concerned about what Fanatics might do to the hobby long term, I've touched on this as well. I've got some concerns. But things like this, the ability to interact with the community and sort of give commentary as it happens is a big thing. And it's a really big positive, in my opinion, for the hobby long term. I think the fact you've got Michael Rubin interacting in people's stories and replying to them and talking to people, in the hobby. He didn't have to reply to Denny Cards, right? Denny Cards has, a decent following on Instagram. He's got 4,000 followers. He's had a lot of really good discussions with me in the past. He's, a true collector at the end of the day. So the fact that Michael Rubin has seen a post and replied to him is big, right? We've not had a whole lot of that, in the hobby over the last few years. It's certainly an element that this industry is lacking. The card industry is lacking in this space. I've spoken in the past about how, some of these graders, some of these manufacturers don't do enough. They basically think no news is good news, or if they speak about a problem that's shown up, it's going to make the problem worse. Whereas I've used, SGC Pete, the CEO of SGC, as a really good example of this, where SGC had made mistakes. He's come out on the front foot and said, you know what, this mistake happened. This is what I'm trying to do to fix it. This is basically what's happening. And that kind of thing is really, really good. So the fact we've got, Michael Rubin doing something similar, right? Coming out, telling the people, not necessarily what they want to hear all the time, but telling them, what Fanatics is thinking, what they're planning. That's a really good thing. And I think that kind of thing needs to continue if the hobby wants to be, where it needs to be in the future, right? We've spoken about how BGS have come out and not, said a peep when they've made mistakes. How you've got some of these graders like PSA who make these errors and they want to try and silence customers by getting them to sign, NDAs if they want to get their refund, if they want to get their payout from PSA. The fact that these things occur is a really poor thing. I'm all for, if you're a business and you've made a mistake, own it, right? Because if you come out to the public and say, okay, yes, I made this mistake, or if you've got a mistake, please report it to us. I'm happy for you to talk about it. That helps you grow as a business because it helps you identify gaps within your process, right? Okay, this mistake happened within this step of the process. The fact it's out in the public puts pressure on us to rectify it. That's a good thing. We want to be better. So please tell us when you've got, similar things happening to you. When you've got businesses trying to, muffle that and basically smother that so it doesn't really come out to the public is a poor thing, because that just shows that for the most part, they're trying to do damage control, which often means that they're not trying to improve their processes, right? And I just went a little bit of a tangent there talking about PSA and things like that, but I'm really passionate about this kind of stuff, right? That's the kind of thing you need to push for in the hobby if you want the hobby to be better, right? And the fact you've got, like I said, once again, Michael Rubin acknowledging something as simple as saying, okay, these autos suck. Are you going to put pressure on athletes to do better? I think that's a good thing. Whether or not we actually see any change is probably hard to sort of justify. Like, again, if I go back to this, like some of these athletes, that could be their autograph, right? People in life have terrible autographs. There are some out there that are, far worse than others. I'll see if he's got any in here. Like, I don't consider these ones to be all that bad, to be honest. There's some players in the past that have just done like straight lines or signed an X. That stuff is unacceptable. So I think for the most part, things are okay. There's just a few players here and there. So not sure how they can sort of pressure them into doing better. But again, if that's something they're looking into, that's great in my opinion. Now, that's sort of it today. I don't think there was anything else. I feel like there was. I just can't recall right now, so I do apologize. These weekly news videos have been off for the last 2 weeks because I've been away on vacation. I got back a few days ago. I was sick for a day or two, which was really unfortunate, but I'm happy to be back. You're going to get 3 videos at minimum per week from now on, so the weekly news videos are back. Let me know if I missed anything. Let me know if there's anything else you want me to talk to. I'm happy to do a follow-up to this video in the next couple of days, so please share that with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.